Tu es la vague, tu es la mer.
Hello again. What's this? Is this regular content? Who knows? I honestly have no idea if I'm going to be able to keep up this pace. Today we're going to be making another sort of French classic. It's a quiche. Quiche Lorraine to be exact, and that is a quiche with basically bacon and caramelized leeks. They usually make it with Gruyere, but that's kind of hard to find and pretty expensive, so we're going to use Swiss. And Gruyere is really just a longer aged Swiss. So Swiss is more easily accessible, so we're just going to use that instead. However, I'm not super confident making doughs yet, so we're just going to use a store-bought pastry dough or, pie crust. So no shame in my game, so don't let there be some in yours. When I'm with my family in France and we've been busy all day doing whatever, and, someone goes, wait, what are we doing for dinner? And then it's like, do we have leftover vegetables or anything? We could just make a quiche. Which is exactly what we're making today. Eggs, cream, cheese, not cream cheese. Use a Swiss. Again, pretty traditional, use Gruyere, but that's hard to find and a little more expensive. Got some nice thick cut bacon, in which we are going to now cut in half and then cut into what is called lardons. And lardons is as you can see here, these little flat sort of rectangular cuts of bacon. They crisp up really nicely and it's easy to distribute throughout your quiche. Now I know it looks like we wasted a lot of our leek there, but the very top super dark green portion of it is virtually ineatable. This is actually a really easy way to cut your leek to get the more manageable pieces. And also again, we're trying to think of how to evenly distribute our ingredients. And if they're too big, it's going to be too clumpy, and we don't want that. We want a nice consistent bite every time we touch our quiche. For those of you who don't know, these are chives, and we're cutting them into about 1/2 inch pieces here. And something to note, when you're making this, you don't want to salt your eggs really early on, especially if you're recording a video and it's really hard to manage your time properly like you normally would. And because the salt will break down the eggs, and we don't want that. We're going to season right before we put it in. And this is something I'm eyeballing. I'm using about 1/3 of a cup of cream per 6 eggs. Our Swiss cheese here with convenient holes for my finger to grip, and a little bit for the chef, of course. Alright, the humble pie crust. Definitely need to poke holes in this, and if you don't poke them all the way, apparently like I did, it'll start to disconnect from the little aluminum tray it's on, and you definitely don't want that. I had to go back, and anyway, so we got this nice blonde color. We're gonna let it rest, and meanwhile we're going to start rendering our bacon fat. Get this nice and crispy. Once we've got a lot of the fat out of it, we're going to add our leeks. And as always, you don't need to add oil to a pan when you're cooking bacon. It has plenty of fat, and we also want to add the leeks in before our bacon is maximum crispy, because the leeks are going to take time. We want to keep the bacon in there, and if we didn't, we were running the chance of burning our bacon. So just sort of keep this moving. We're on medium heat here. We don't need to go full force or anything. Take your time. A little bit of pepper. We don't need to salt it too much either, because the bacon is a little salty. Another thing to note is that we want to take it off the heat pretty early, because the fat inside of it that's still really hot is going to continue to cook the bacon and the leeks. So we're just going to spread this out, and you can hear the nice texture on that bacon, nice and crisp. After it's done cooling, we can add it to our mixture. Eggs cook at a really low temperature, and I don't want to run the risk of partly cooking some of our egg prematurely. So now I'm going to start seasoning, remembering to light on salt because there's a lot of saltiness in the Swiss and the bacon, making sure to reserve some of our Swiss for topping later. We're going to add our chives now, and then start to mix, and then we're going to add it into our pie crust. Making sure that everything's nicely distributed, no peaks, nice even consistency across the entire surface. and then add our cheese on top that we made sure to reserve. And after the bake, we are greeted with a very beautiful quiche here. We do need to let it rest, and the way that we know it's finished is by sticking in a wooden skewer or a toothpick, and when nothing comes out, we know it's cooked through. Test in the middle, because that's what takes longest to cook. To serve this, I'm just going to cut it into quarters, first by cutting in half and then half again, making sure that you get full separation from the bottom. You'll see that I run my knife through a few times just to make sure, because we don't want to try and pull this up and then break our lovely pie crust. Being careful to wedge this out, because you, again, don't want to break it. Now that is a good looking quiche. I know eventually I'll make another video where I make the dough myself, but not everybody has time for that, and I did not either. So here we are. I'm ravenous at this point because it's taken me a while to run up and down the stairs to make all this happen, but I'm gonna go finish that. And while I'm killing that, and likely the entire quiche itself, please like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying the content. I'm doing my best to push these out once a week now, so hope to see you soon.